So I gathered whatever courage I could, and I did something I now know was a mistake. I spoke to it.
Oh, yeah, that's a mistake.
You don't think Bigfoot is in between the plane of existence or dimensions?
No. Do you?
Oh. In another episode, that's what we're going to be discussing.
Bigfoot is an interdimensional traveler?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, that's a whole nother can of worms. We'll open at a later date.
Yeah.
Welcome to Candlelight Curiosities, Episode 1. My name is Mike.
And you can call me Maggie. And this week, our first episode ever, we are going to be discussing astral projection and simulation theory.
Yeah. Glitches in the Matrix.
Crazy. I'm excited. Are you?
I'm very excited. Oh.
All right.
Deja vu.
So I actually have a story to read. I didn't really do much research on simulation theory, but I did on astral projections, and I found that's pretty creepy.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm going to put my mic down and listen.
Okay. So I found this on Reddit. I was doing a deep dive on Reddit trying to find different astral projections. Actually, I was trying to do glitches in the Matrix first. Couldn't really find any stories that I liked. I liked them, but they were either really too short or there just wasn't enough
Substance.
meat and potatoes to them. So
Enough depth.
But I found this one and I really liked it, so I would like to share it with you. So this story was originally shared by u/witcyandsnippy on r/paranormal. I'm retelling it in their words.
Okay.
This happened around 2013. At that time, I had learned how to astral project through meditation. I didn't control where I went. I would just end up somewhere. And every single time, it was the same place. A barren forest. Dead winter. Snow covering everything. Maybe a foot deep. No animals, no sound, just trees and white silence. The first 2 times I went there, nothing happened. I would wander around for a while and eventually return to my body. The third time was different. I was walking through the snow like usual when I noticed something about 6 or 7 feet away. A shape. It was a wolf. Pure black. It was just standing there, staring directly at me. And the strange thing is, I wasn't afraid. The wolf turned and walked away. Then it stopped after about a foot and looked back at me, like it was waiting. So I followed it. I followed that wolf for what felt like 20 minutes, deeper into the forest than I'd ever gone before. Eventually, it led me to a clearing I had never seen. The moment I stepped into the clearing, the wolf ran off into the trees. And that's when everything changed. The air shifted. What had felt natural before suddenly felt heavy, like pressure pressing down on me, like the atmosphere itself had thickened. At the far end of this clearing, something was standing there. It was tall, humanoid. Its skin was pitch black, not shadowed, black.
Demonic.
Spooky. It had cloven hooves instead of feet, no fur. Its body was painfully thin, ribs clearly visible beneath the skin. Its arms were too long. Its hands ended in talons.
Wendigo.
Crooked horns jutted from its head. I couldn't make out its face, except for its eyes. They were glowing red. We just stared at each other. I don't know for how long. It felt like a minute. Then I snapped back into my body. When I came back, I was gasping for air, shaking, completely rattled. I tried researching what I'd seen. Nothing matched. I spoke to a few people who claimed to have experience with astral projection, and they gave me advice. Looking back, it wasn't good advice. A few weeks later, I decided to go back. Before meditating, I made a salt circle around myself for protection.
That doesn't make any sense.
When I entered that state again, I wasn't wandering into the forest this time. I was already standing in the clearing. Immediately, I felt the pressure again, worse than before. My back was turned towards the clearing. I was facing the trees, but I could feel it behind me. I remembered the advice I'd been given, so I gathered whatever courage I could, and I did something I now know was a mistake. I spoke to it.
Oh, yeah, that's a mistake.
I said, "You have no power over me." Then there was silence.
False.
Long, stretching silence. And then it touched me. The closest comparison I have is being badly burned. I once burned my hand on an iron. This was worse. It grabbed my neck. Its taloned hand wrapped completely around it. The pain was so intense I couldn't even scream. And then I was back in my body. There were no marks on my neck, but I could still feel the burn, like a phantom sensation. Then I tried to forget about it. I had college classes, a part-time job. I tried to move on. About a week later, I started seeing it again. Just quick flashes. Split-second glimpses during the day. Each time, it was slightly closer. Then the whispers began. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but they sounded like they were coming from inside my head.
It's like Lost.
How?
Remember in Lost, the whispers in the forest?
Oh, yes. That was a while ago.
2006.
As the creature seemed to get closer, the whispers grew louder, more aggressive. Desperate, I told my mother. She's religious, and she was deeply concerned. She called our church's pastor and youth pastor. They came to the house, prayed over me, and talked about spiritual warfare, then believed I was dealing with something demonic. After that, I stopped seeing it. But the whispers didn't stop. They got louder, harsher. It started affecting my sanity. My partner at the time claimed he knew what the creature was and how to stop it. I was willing to try anything. We performed a ritual. I won't share details because it was dangerous and I don't want anyone attempting something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 7 years. I haven't seen it. I haven't dreamed about it. I haven't felt its presence since. Again, that story was originally shared by you/witcyandsnippy on r/paranormal. What are your thoughts?
I see a lot of holes. Not going to tell me what the ritual is. Why not?
Clearly it was too dangerous to perform. What do you think it was then?
That makes me feel sus. Also, salt circle, physical barrier from supernatural beings. Oh, careful. I don't think it would protect you when you're astral projecting because you're sending your mind somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So you're only protecting your body, but you're not protecting your mind. Salt circle makes sense. It didn't work.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just this person's clearly religious, which I think might play a part in their psychosis.
Oh, it's psychosis?
It sounds like it. I mean, is there a scientific explanation? Quite possibly. What kind of prescription drugs are they taking?
Yeah, that's true.
What is their sleep schedule like? How much stress do they have in their life? What do they believe? You know?
I didn't look in the comments.
Astral projection is, it's hard to believe, but at the same time, I think it's a branch of, if not the same thing as this remote viewing. And if the CIA developed an entire program on it, there must be some legitimacy to it if the CIA is looking into it. But, you know, maybe this person can astral project. I've never astral projected anything, so who am I to judge? The only way to know is to really talk to this person, to get their side of the story, to participate in their ritual, and to see if they have any marks on them, because she said it touched her in the astral projection state. Did it leave a physical mark in the place that she was at during that time? Could she have just fallen asleep? Because a lot of people fall asleep while they're meditating. Maybe she fell asleep, just had a nightmare.
That is true.
You know what I mean?
Someone commented, Silky Sleuth.
Silky Sleuth.
Sleuth, sleuth. The wolf was the grim. They lead people onto the next plane of existence.
Ooh.
You might have thought you were a lost soul. Why it led you to a dark entity is something you need to question in your life on this plane.
Oh, okay.
Spooky.
I thought it had the face of a human.
It didn't have a face. You could only make out that red eyes. Or they could. It doesn't really say.
Well, it sounds like a Wendigo, but
it does sound like a Wendigo.
I don't think they deal in the realm. I mean, who knows? But the realm between life and death and stuff like that. Like, I thought they were more like a physical thing, like Bigfoot. Like they're like an
in-between.
Like a entity.
Dimensions.
Not even in between dimensions, like on this plane of existence.
Oh, you don't think Bigfoot is in between the plane of existence? Or dimensions?
No. Do you?
Oh. In another episode, that's what we're going to be discussing.
Bigfoot is an interdimensional traveler?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's a whole nother can of worms. We'll open at a later date.
Yeah, there's so many mysteries about Bigfoot, but that's just one of the entities or creatures that can slip between the planes, the dimensions. Just like the aliens that were in Florida. Do you remember that? At the mall?
No.
Oh, you didn't hear about that?
No.
I'm deep in the conspiracies and stuff, but basically to sum it up, because I was going to do a story on this too for our...
Grain of salt because it happened in Florida.
I know, but there was multiple people, again, it is Florida, multiple people claim that they saw very tall alien-like creatures entering or exiting or walking throughout the mall in one of the malls in Florida a few years ago. And
during the day, like during business hours.
Yes. Something happened. I don't know if like there was the veil was thinned or what, but a bunch of people claimed it. I'm probably going to butcher this. I'll have to look it up for another episode. But basically, a bunch of people saw it.
In the mall?
Yeah, and a whole bunch of police showed up. Like 30 to 40 cars.
You're jogging my memory.
And they said that it was just kids setting off fireworks there.
Yes.
Okay, now you know.
Yes. Okay, it's all coming back to me.
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, I said a few years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, and they said it was all firework, kids setting off fireworks, and it wasn't investigated. Did they evacuate the mall? Didn't they evacuate? And then no one was allowed in.
Yeah, and then they confiscated phones, I'm pretty sure, and got rid of any evidence.
Oh, okay, well.
Government cover-up.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Could have been remote viewing. Could have been an experiment like that, where somebody put themselves there. And I got to read that book, that phenomenon about the remote viewing. I think I'm going to get that book. It was highly recommended to me, but it's all about remote viewing, and I think that's the same thing as astral projecting.
I was like, what is remote viewing?
Remote viewing. So like the CIA. You ever see the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats?
No.
It's basically like a comedy, I guess you'd call it. It's kind of a weird, more like a.
What year? Range.
Between now and 2010, I think.
Okay.
George Clooney was in it. It got like a lot of really bad reviews, and it was like had like a cult following where like only certain people enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
It was okay, but it was all about the CIA's program for remote viewing, and they'd get these guys in a room and they'd be like, okay, we have a bunch of drawers with a bunch of different items in them.
Oh, okay.
And then you've got to like tell me what's in drawer E6.
Okay.
And then they have to like draw a picture of it or pick a picture of a pencil by just like staring at it. And but it was all about that program, which is an actual program. In the book Phenomenon, I just got like the cliff notes of it, but this lady is basically talking about how like people are projecting their minds like into rooms where secret meetings are happening and like listening, but they're also trying to go beyond that to influence other people and influence physical objects.
So kind of like 11 on Stranger Things.
Yeah. That all stems from that, I think.
Okay.
But
that'd be cool.
Phenomenon.
Well, you were really into lucid dreaming for a while, so I feel like you would be good to get to that meditative state to be able to try to
go
do that.
beyond.
Yeah. That'd be really weird, though, for like your soul to leave your body. I would be so...
Is it your soul or is it just your consciousness? Or are those the same thing?
Yeah. Either way, if I were to leave my body and see my body, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
I have not done enough stuff that can stimulate such an experience. So...
I'd have to have tangible proof. You know what I mean? Like I can imagine myself looking at myself right now.
I feel like you would know though. Like there would be an all-knowing sense of you looking at your body from
Is
the
it just
outside.
a hyper-realistic dream?
Maybe, I don't know.
But even then, is the hyper-realistic dream actually you astral projecting? See, I'd have to be able
Is
to
it even
like
a dream?
I'd have to like say something to somebody nearby and then go meet them like a day later and be like, do you remember this? You know?
Yeah.
Or like, do you know who I am? And then if that happened, then I'd be like, undeniable proof.
Yeah. Something I wanted to mention about the story is the concrete angels from Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And you've never seen that before, right?
The booze.
So the booze.
From Super Mario.
Yeah, the booze from Super Mario. But but basically in Doctor Who, it's like whenever you look at the concrete angels and you blink, they get a little bit closer every single time and they get more and more scary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it reminded me of with the possible Wendigo or whatever the creature
Some type
might
of
be.
demonic entity.
Yeah, and to speak to it. Ooh, spooky. But my thing is too, like, I've watched a lot of demonic stories and stuff on YouTube. I'm obsessed with this stuff, clearly. And when you tell it to leave, sometimes it does. So like, I don't know.
Well, they're not all, good and bad, black and white.
Yeah. We know that's because it's supernatural.
Different levels of hierarchy,
Yeah. So that was my one story about astral projection that I was able to conjure for us.
Well,
You like that? Yeah, simulation theory. Tell me about it.
all right. So we started talking about glitches in the Matrix and stuff, and then I was like, I need to know. I need to learn. I need to do a deep dive, a scientific deep dive. So I came across this dude first, and his name is Nick Bostrom. 2003, he writes this thesis talking about like, are we in a simulation and how would we know and what's the purpose? And his whole thing is like, okay, in the Matrix, they're like, the machines use our bioelectricity as batteries. And that's like the whole reason they created the Matrix and everything. Mm-hmm. Well, he's like, well, what if it's not machines, but it's humans that have evolved to a level of intelligence that we can't comprehend, and they're running their own simulations to figure out certain I don't know what to figure out. They call them ancestral simulations. Whatever they're trying to figure out, like what happened in the past, how did we get to where we are? Like maybe they're just questioning things like how did we get to this place? But he's basically like one of these three things is true. based on what he has decided. The human species is very likely to go extinct before reaching a post-human stage. So he's basically saying that, like, before we ascend to the next level of human existence, which is what he's essentially saying the creators of our simulation have done, he's like, we're going to destroy ourselves, and the simulation's going to reset, or it's going to end, or they're going to just start another one, or they already have, a multitude of simulations happening simultaneously. We could perceive those as parallel universes.
To chime in, who is they? Other humans, or is it like?
Yeah, they're like humans from the future.
Okay.
That have such advanced technology and intelligence that they're able to create. Like, okay, look at our world, right? We can create simulation games. They're crude, but if you look at like games like Minecraft or No Man's Sky, I mean, we've created procedurally generated video games where we are playing out the life of another character. And if you had some type of quantum computing power, if you had the power of the sun to build to run a computer, I mean, the amount of data is limitless. Like, the amount of processing power is really up to the creators at that point. So who's to say that they couldn't make a simulation that is exactly like the world we live in now, that every single, and this is going to get into my next thing, but like every single atom, every single string or whatever that makes up these is just actually a bit of data. So that's what they're doing, according to Nick Bostrom. And then he also says, okay, so the first thing is, to reiterate, the human species is very likely to go extinct before reaching this post-human stage. So we're going to go extinct before we achieve the ability to do what's happening to us now, which is to create a simulation or simulations of our ancestors. The second one is, any post-human civilization is extremely unlikely to run a significant number of simulations of their evolutionary history or variations thereof. So he's saying that what also could be true is that these post-human civilizations are definitely not running any type of simulation because they have no need for it. And then the third one, which is the most riveting, we are almost certainly living in a computer simulation. It follows that the belief that there is a significant chance that we will one day become post-humans who run ancestor simulations is false, unless we are currently living in a simulation. So then I was like, okay, let's go a little deeper. Let's see who has expounded upon this. Because this was back in 2003. This was before the AI revolution. I mean, think about where you were in 2003 and the technology that we had and what we knew and didn't know. It's a long time ago.
I think I was 7.
Yeah. I mean,
Pocket.
we had flip phones. Then I started to read deeper into this other guy, Vopson, and this is 2023, I think, or later. But this guy is talking about simulation theory in a way that is a different approach. He's basically saying that information is energy and that the universe condenses energy into a more ordered fashion, just like our computer compresses files to create more space to create more efficient memory. He developed this law of infodynamics that he says is an actual physical law and not just a side effect of entropy, where basically, because like the universe is constantly expanding, right? And it's getting more chaotic. It started from a single infinitesimal point and has continually expanded over the last, 12 billion years. And he's saying that that is true. That's a universal law. But locally, energy tends to create order out of chaos, like gravity. The law of gravity pulls chaotic particles together into some form of order that makes more sense. Or like on an even more local scale, like your refrigerator, the condenser turns water into ice because water is the molecules are more spread out and they're moving quickly. And then as they freeze, they slow down and become more ordered into a crystallized formation. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, so where's the entropy, right? And he's like, well, the entropy in like the fridge example would be the heat given off by your condenser, right? That's the heat is being let out chaotically into the universe. But he's basically saying that like the universe operates like a computer, And in that, locally stored information is condensed and compiled in a more efficient manner, and that all data, even the data on your computer, is energy that has been organized in the same way. So we as humans are organizing this energy more efficiently so that the universal computer can operate better and have more memory. And so then he was like, if that's true, then it's likely we're inside of a giant computer and that we're in a simulation. That's like his reaching further beyond this theory, which is a theory, by the way. But yeah, he's basically saying that like string theory, like the strings are just bits of data and that everything is data. I like that idea, but I also think it's a direct reflection of the current times we live in. And what it is a man trying to explain the unexplainable based on the amassed knowledge of the human race up to this point. If we are in a simulation, would we know? So then I was like, okay, well, I know a little bit about like the double slit experiment. And I know that light, photons can either act as a wave or as solid matter, but it's only when they're not being observed. And I was like, well, that's like a computer too, because if it takes less processing power for particles, light particles to be a wave than it does for them to be solid matter, then it would make sense that the universal computer would attempt to limit processing load by having unobserved light particles act as waves. So you've got like two different types of data, right? Two different file types, like a zip file when they're not being observed, and then an unzipped file when they're being observed. And that could also be part of the simulation theory.
Yeah. I just watched a video earlier today about, and she was talking about how she can explain manifesting from a scientific point of view and make it make sense and make it tangible. And then she talks about the light theory where when they observed it, it was 2 bars. But then when they weren't observing it, there was like 8 bars or 8 waves or whatever it was.
It behaved as in a wave pattern.
Yeah.
Where the center has a higher density and it equally goes out in both directions.
Yeah. So I'm going to look more into that too, because for manifesting, I'll try anything because I really believe in that. So, and then also if everything is a simulation in the sense of like computers, then our brains would be considered like what, the motherboard?
I think our brains are highly organized programs inside of the simulation as a means for sort of like an observation of the internal working of the system.
Okay, so then you can reprogram said programs.
If you're talking about the Matrix, then no, because in the Matrix, what you believe is free will is already been predetermined because there's already been 7 iterations of the Matrix. If you're talking about a purely free simulation in which they just drop all the necessary ingredients into the pot and just see what happens, then yes.
What do you believe?
I don't know what to believe. I want to believe.
The truth is out there.
The truth is out there. I don't know. I like to believe a lot of different stuff and then just ponder about it and leave it open.
Yeah.
Because I think once you lock into one specific belief, it limits your ability to take in new information.
I agree.
It's hard to deny, but at the same time, I'm like, are we just reflecting what we currently know in a new way that explains our own existence? You know what I mean?
No.
Like ancient people were like, oh my God, the sun is a god. Because they only knew what they knew. And that was their explanation for unknowable things. And now we're like, okay, the universe is a computer because that's what we're doing right now. That's the age that we're in, is the Silicon Age.
Yeah. And that didn't exist back then.
That didn't exist back then. No, back then, they weren't like, the universe is a computer.
Were they like really tight with aliens back then, though? Whenever I think like back in time, I just think about the pyramids. And I'm like, so like maybe they were thinking this and then they just kept dumbing us down and now we're starting to like pick back up or something. Yeah.
We could be in a simulation, but I think we're all NPCs. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's like I don't think I have my own simulation and you have your own. I think we're all part of the same thing if we are. And that what it is like, let's say climate change ravaged the earth and then some humans survived by going to space, and then they went on to create a hyper-intelligent race. And then someone at some university in the future, whatever that might look like, was like, hey, let's try and figure out how this climate change occurred, if it could have been prevented, and let's run a simulation of our ancestors in a computer to see if X, Y, or Z could have been prevented. And maybe whatever this world is leading, because it always kind of feels like it's always leading up to something, you know? Whatever it's leading up to, the big problem, even though we have a million of them, but like the one big thing, it's like maybe this simulation is just one of many iterations where they only change a few things, or they don't change anything. It's their best guess because it's, you know, thousands of years or millions of years in the future. And they're like going to present it to their professor or whatever.
What was the big, was it 2012? That was like when the world was supposed to end.
It's been a million things.
Okay. Thinking about that, like if it were to be an experiment that's being run periodically, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we always feel like everything's just a little weird. Everything's just a little different. We can't explain it because we then switch to like maybe the world did end, but switch to a different dimension. Because people keep saying that about this year too. They're like, I don't feel like we're on the same wavelength as we were before.
So you're saying it's one simulation, and then when the world does end, they just reset it back to like a save state, kind of like they're loading a new save game again, but they change a couple things.
My favorite movie, Interstellar.
Mm-hmm.
When he goes to where he goes, and there's just, you can't even explain where he's at, but like all the different dimensions that are interfering with each other. I feel like
well, that's time. It's the future humans who have achieved the ascension, the post-humans that Bostrom talks about.
Yeah.
Essentially created a tesseract for him to interact with in a way that he could understand.
Yeah.
A fourth dimension in 3 dimensions.
Great movie if you haven't seen it. Definitely watch it.
Was Interstellar a simulation?
I don't care what it was.
Actual,
it was so good.
or was it actual time travel?
Yeah, that entire movie is just incredible. Definitely makes you think. And the soundtrack, 10 out of 10.
It is kind of disheartening though to think that like, what if our entire existence is just like a post-humans child's school project?
Like
for
Sims.
Like the 8th grade. They're just so intelligent that like an 8th grader is like 10 billion times smarter than us, and they live infinitely, you know, and then they're just like, check out this cool group of simulations I made about whatever.
Yeah.
A bunch of humans who
about leaking some files that were.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't think it's sad. I think it'd be really cool and interesting to see that human evolution gets to that point to where an 8th grader can do that.
Like our universe is just at a science fair and they're watching because they can travel through space and time as if we were traveling through just space. And they're like, look at all these different points. Like this is what happens when our ancestors were given limited resources. Look at how they fight over them. And it's
chips
us.
in their brains. Yeah.
And look, we can make infinite iterations if we want.
It's hard to process. but I can see it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're batteries for machines. Like I don't honestly, now that I'm thinking about AI, I'm like, maybe.
Yeah, literally.
There's a lot of people that are way smarter than me that were like that they wouldn't use human bioelectricity. It's so inefficient. It kind of makes me wonder though about the computer, like the Universe Me computer program, because 99% of it is just empty space.
What if there's more out there we just don't see with our human eyes? What if it's the other dimensions and the dimensional creatures and beings? And this is just what we can see with our human eyes.
Yeah, but even then, how do you know that's just not some guy on a futuristic computer typing stuff?
I don't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's like, let's drive them crazy. Let's put Bigfoot in there every once in a while.
Yeah, oh yeah, there'd probably be post-human trolls that are like, wouldn't it be funny if we just changed the temperature of their planet? It'd be funny if we just gave them less water. What if we just put salt in the oceans? Let's see what happens if we do that.
Thinking about The Sims and playing that my entire child. I want to play it again. I keep seeing people stream it and I'm like, I can play that for days.
Yeah.
The hashtag motherload. Just give it to like the billionaires that are out there.
Yeah. That's another thing that that they were talking about when I was looking. It was like, it could be that we are part of only some people are actually they don't necessarily like break the fourth wall, so to speak, but they're the ones that actually know that they are in a simulation, and they're the ones that are the most powerful, and everybody else is sort of like a part of it in the same way, but they just don't have the knowledge. They're basically saying that like most consciousness, like most people's existence is as an NPC, and there's actually a few main characters.
Okay, so I feel like that, I believe that a lot. Because when you think about people like me, where I grew up and the life that I had and like where I'm at now, I had to level up essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
That also gets me to thinking about the waves.
Okay.
I saw a video today. I was going to send it to you. I actually saved it, but you were sleeping. And it was about how 5G waves and other waves can like actually make you feel different ways. And he actually said when the files were given out, they proved that that's an actual thing that's going on. So I would like to talk to you about that and
5G mind control?
any type of mind control that's dealing with sound waves. But then with that, along with
Or
that,
like electromagnetic waves.
I don't know.
Like EM.
Maybe. He kept saying 5G. So whatever that is.
EM. Radio waves, microwaves, like you're saying, certain frequencies.
Yes, and it can either be like make you sad, make you angry.
Changing your brainwave patterns.
Yes. So with that also being said, billionaires and people like that, they listen to the different hertz.
Okay.
Like what is it, 128? That's
like Steve Jobs went to India for a long time and learned about numerology and sound waves. And then came back and was like, I'm now going to create one of the most successful companies to ever exist.
I want to learn more about that because what the hell is it?
Well, we got to go to India.
I don't think we have to go to India. We have the internet and AI now, which is crazy. But seeing what that does to the brain, because I do feel like a lot of the elites, we'll put it as elites.
Yeah.
They do a lot of that stuff.
Well, like Elon Musk had a picture of a purba on his, had a picture of his nightstand and there was a purba on there.
What's a purba?
Purba is a spiritual tool that's used to lock down. Wow, this is going to be like the worst, most botched explanation of it. But the purba was used to like lock down spiritually the things that you didn't want to carry with you.
Okay.
So like I don't really understand it, but like basically they take it and it's like a symbol where they stab it into the ground and then their negative intentions or energy or whatever is pinned to the ground and then they can leave it.
Does he just stab into his nightstand?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Or the what is the tattoo that Madonna? I think it was Madonna had. It was the the 9 or 8 circle. Oh, what is that called?
Yes, you told me about this the other day.
Let me look it up.
I was like, why does this? I remember this.
The Kabbalah.
Yeah.
The tree of life. So she had the Kabbalah on her arm.
Let me see it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's 9, like the 9 realms or whatever. Like a lot of these people have this stuff. And then you get into like the satanic stuff of it where like the Kabbalah is basically like at the highest, it's like the highest point, starting point is like the mind. And then it goes down through all the different levels of human existence.
Like the chakras.
To the body, yeah. And then the mind, it basically is like a spiritual map for the mind manifesting reality, like the physical world. But the mind is above how do we get on this off? The mind is above the body in that situation. But then they're talking about like the satanic cult people. They do it like the reverse. So it's like the pentagram, like the reverse pentagram, where it puts the original pentagram puts the mind and the spirit at the highest point and then the body at the lowest. But the reverse pentagram, the satanic, puts the body at the top and then the body. And so like the physical world manifests what's in the mind.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know where this conversation is going, but essentially it's kind of, the point is that the elites all have these weird spiritual beliefs that apparently work because they're all billionaires. But at the same time, how do you know if it's not the opposite of what the original beliefs were? What do you know what I'm saying? What if they're all reverse pentagramming it?
Yeah.
And they're all satanic.
Yeah.
And that's why they're so powerful. And then I'm like, okay, now we're going to start talking about the Gnostics and the Gnostic Bible. And like, it's just going to go on and on and on down the spiral of the rabbit hole. But getting back to, are we batteries that power machines?
We got into that because of the sound waves.
Sound waves used to build the pyramids. Episode 3.
Yeah. So.
But I don't know. I don't know if we're in a simulation or not.
Me either.
I think it's definitely a possibility now that we know what we know, and the fact that we can create our own simulations, no matter how crude they are. But the thought experiment is, well, if we can make these crude simulations, and this technology is evolving exponentially, then is it going too far to say that we could make a simulation that so closely resembles the world we live in now that we wouldn't be able to tell the difference?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's reaching too far.
I think it's like not to bring more things into this, but the Mandela effect.
The Mandela effect?
Yeah.
That's like when everybody remembers
Not everybody, though.
something one way, but it was a different way or didn't exist at all.
Yeah. That's
Butterfly effect is like if a butterfly is 1 inch to the left, it would change the wind, and then the world would end a year later instead of continuing on or something like that.
Okay, well, my thing,
Like when you step on a butterfly back in time, it changes everything.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the Mandela effect, how everything, like the world ending, and then we just kind of reset.
Oh.
And then everything just feels a little different.
Yeah, going back to the save state
Yeah.
of the game,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. I could totally see that. And then the more, it's just a quantum computer constantly loading and saving save states. And then these little glitches we get are just bugs in the system where they're like, you're like, I had deja vu. And it's like, well, actually, there's still some, because when you delete a file on a computer, it never goes away completely. It always stays on the hard. It just gets compressed down to the smallest amount possible. So it's still there. It's still recoverable. So let's say we're in a simulation and it's constantly saving and loading and saving and loading and restarting and starting over and changing, but it's all on the same computer, then that would lead me to the assumption that the life I'm living, I've lived many, 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 many times.
Mm-hmm.
My consciousness as a program is something that has been reiterated who knows how many times. And that is the reason why I experienced deja vu, because I'm still getting fragments of the deleted files that exist in the system as a unintended consequence or an unintended result of the simulation running so many times over and over and over again.
I didn't know that about computers.
Yeah.
That it just gets compressed.
It never gets deleted. That's why, like they say, the only way to get information completely off of your hard drive is to literally burn it to ash.
Good to know.
Yeah. But you can also wipe it with a powerful magnet too, which also works.
Okay.
Does
that destroy it?
Yeah, it makes it smooth. So like the hard drive, like a hard drive is like a disc. It's like a record, and there's the information, the ones and zeros. It's sort of like bumps on the record, and then you're just playing the music back every single time. But when you use a powerful electromagnet, it changes the shape of the metal on the record, so the record becomes smooth again, and all the information's gone.
Okay.
And a solid state drive is like a hard drive, but digitally. So now instead of putting prints on the metal, it's putting prints on like electrons.
Wow.
Or using those to align in certain ways to represent ones and zeros. And that's why the electromagnet resets all that stuff. But then the quantum computers.
The quantum field.
We have a quantum computer now.
That's where I'm trying to go.
We have a quantum computer. And essentially what a computer does now is it goes 1, 0, yes, no. If this, then that. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So that's all it is, ones and zeros. The quantum computer goes with either yes or no. It could go, is it yes or is it no? Is it yes or is it no? Is this no a yes or a no? And then now all of a sudden you have these branches of possibilities that are all being run simultaneously. So now it's doing probability of yes and no at a level that a normal computer couldn't. So now it's getting like the likelihood of yes or no happening with each individual bit of code. And that's why they're so much more efficient, but that's why they create so much more energy. So think about this, right? Getting back to Vopson, if these quantum computers, they create so much heat that they need a ton of cooling. So they're creating so much entropy in order to organize a vast amount of information into something that we can understand in order to achieve an organized result of data. So it would suffice to say that Vopson is kind of right, because he's like, look, a little bit of information condensation, like a little bit of the infodynamics happening, a little bit of entropy. It's equal and opposite. Ton of information trying to be organized, ton of energy trying to be organized, ton of entropy, ton of chaos happening.
Could it be the sun?
What about it?
So that's the heat we're giving off.
Yeah, so the
Just
sun, yeah,
organized.
so because you're smashing atoms together and breaking them apart or splitting atoms apart. A lot of heat given off because there's a ton of gravity, and the gravity is organizing them to the point where it almost seems like they can't take it anymore. But yes, because yes, okay, because the sun is a star, and stars create heavy elements from light elements. So
Yeah.
they're reorganizing data in a way that's condensing it down into something, literally into something denser. And that they're essentially these engines that are taking a lot of data and condensing it down into data that is the same size but contains more information, which would make sense that they'd give off a lot of heat, just like Vopson said, because they're doing it on a celestial scale. I don't know if we're in a simulation or not, but kind of leaning into one direction here. Kind of leaning towards you might be right. The real question is, if we are in a simulation, what do we do about it? Do we continue to just try and create our own simulations? Or do we try to communicate with the creators of the simulation? Do we end it all because we know the futility of our own existence? Or we know that we'll just be reincarnated again in the next iteration?
Do people not already do that now?
They do all that stuff now.
Yeah.
But it's like if you know for sure, what do you do with that information and what are the consequences? What would you do?
We'll never know.
I would try and communicate. I would try and ascend and at least be like, I know. You know what I mean? And then they'd be like, great, we don't care.
Gold star.
Delete. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think now
You are an AI to us, basically. We're just going to delete you because we can. And
I try to be one with the universe, right? And like to my grounding and my gratitude and whatever, my journaling, all these things. So I'm trying to communicate, but I'm also trying to create my own reality by manifesting.
mm-hmm.
And so far, it's been pretty cool. So just saying.
Maybe that's part of the simulation.
Maybe it is.
They're witnessing over millions or billions of years, because to them, it's just like, if I was going to walk from here to there, that would be me moving through 3D space. If I was a extra dimensional being and I'm walking from here to there, maybe that's me walking back to 1922. I
don't really care about them. I care about me now.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, what if the simulation is just them being like, how is this? What happens? God, this is so hard to think of. I can't wrap my head around how I want to say this. Over the billions of years, how the data organizes itself, and will it achieve the same result that we have achieved, or will it not?
That reminded me of the when you have a dream, and then when you I almost cut you off, and I was like, hold yourself together.
It's hard to wrap your head around, man, because it's like, it's just so crazy. It's hard to explain because I feel like I'm pretty smart, but I'm not like crazy smart. You know what I mean? And that's the end of the episode.
Yes. So if you have any crazy astral projection stories or simulation theories, please let us know in the comments. And also, if you have any stories you'd like to share with us, you can share it to our email, which is going to be in our bio.
It'll be in the bio and description for sure.
Bio and description. Yeah. I was like, is it bio or is it description?
Both.
The description.
If you like the content.
Yes.
Feel free to like and subscribe. There'll be more to come.
Yes, so much more.
I'm a cold-hearted cynic who believes in science.
Yeah, I believe like everything, so. But if you can't prove it, why not believe it?
If you can't prove it, then I don't believe it.
Crazy.
Don't forget to blow out your candles and always stay curious.
Stay curious. Wah! And done. Good job. Give me a kiss.